Type of money. Do you understand that I only make $1,100 a month, and after taxes, it's about $600-700.
But I know you got that signing bonus. I need $1,500. Come on now.
And you're right, but that money is not for me to touch right now. That's not my money. That's my future's money.
But all right, man. I hope everybody's doing good today. Today we're here with Dennis Wyrick of Rosenhaus Sports, and a newer division with Rosenhaus. And man, first of all, thank you for joining us today, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I've been looking forward to it.
Man, Dennis, so talk to us a little bit about your background. Actually, before we even get into that, today's title, if we were to give it one, would be representation and performance. A lot of times when you navigate the pro scene, a lot of the elite level athletes, if not all of them, have a representative. They have someone who's doing the legwork, who's an expert in their field to help augment players' careers. And so, Dennis, I know that you do a lot of stuff as it relates to sports agency, as it relates to the baseball operations. You have many hats, but for all intents and purposes, your title is the Director of Baseball Operations. Talk to us a little bit about your road as an athlete. I know you're another former Sun Devil in the house.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I'm repping the colors today.
All right,
I'm
man.
loud and proud. We're 1-0 as of last night. So it's a good day to be a Sun Devil. But again, thank you for having me. In terms of how we got here, it's a long and windy road. Like I think most people in baseball or sports would tell you, at least on the business side of things. But in a different way, in comparison to players, this is not where I intended on being, but became another path for me to achieve my dream, which was being involved in Major League Baseball.
That's great, man. So you were actually a former athlete yourself, dual scholarship, football and baseball at Arizona State.
Right.
At what point did you say, man, I really want to start representing players and putting their name out there?
Yeah, I took a couple years away. I think having done this all my life, it was necessary to get some new experience. Be it in sales and just away from the game and get a feel for how the real world works. And thankfully, I got a chance to come back into the game. Mm-hmm. Originally thought I would be the goal was to be a recruiting coordinator in college. Mm-hmm. And, one thing led to another through development, through people, through multiple relationships, where I had an opportunity to join an agency, one of the most prominent agencies in the game. And my career in this world started. So
That's awesome,
it was very unexpected.
That's awesome. A lot of times when people think of Rosenhaus Sports, you think of big personality,
right.
Terrell Owens doing sit-ups in the driveway, you know what I'm saying? No one really thinks about Rosenhaus as it relates to baseball, but here you are, man, putting that on the map, putting your name on the map, and so really exciting stuff, man. So, man, just to get into it, right? When you start talking about sports agents, it's a thin line. Mm-hmm. It's a thin line, man, because a lot of times, sports agents are deemed as snarky, slimy, can't trust them, all about the money, show me the money. You know what I'm saying? Right. Just off top, what should I look for if I'm an athlete? What should I look for? What are 2 to 3 things I need to look for in an agent or a sports representative?
Before you say too much, as the athlete, as the player, listen and invite information, because very often I see a lot of players or just people in this game are looking for that opportunity or in search of that opportunity at all costs. That usually the first thing somebody says is as a way to get there a little faster, they jump at. And that's, I think, having a little experience in life before beyond baseball, I've learned, and I'm sure many people in this game would tell you that it's not usually the case. So along with experience, that information piece is important, because it gives you, when you have information, it affords you some options, in my opinion. So invite information if that's in your development with a coordinator or a coach, or an agent, or even just somebody away from the field. If you're going to go buy a car, go see 2 places. And you'll know. You should have a good understanding if you're listening to what you're looking for, and most importantly, stick to what you came in there to do or accomplish, because not every agent is for every player, just like every organization isn't for every player. and you're looking for the best fit for you. Representation should represent you well beyond what they're bringing to the table. If they don't represent you, it's really shouldn't be. It's not a good match.
That's good, man. That's good. Once again, we're here with Dennis Wyrick of Rosenhaus Sports, and this is raw, man. This is, to be clear, I have not emailed you or texted you any of the questions I'm asking you today.
No.
This is, man, we're shooting from the hip, and I want your gut responses. So,
Sure.
I think that's powerful information. Listen, you gotta listen. Don't go at the whim of everything that you hear that just sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you this. Why do agents get such a bad rap? Why?
Oh, I would say some of it's deservedly, because I think the role is misused. Just like, and for me, if you remove the title or the role or the sport from whatever the responsibility is, and said, this person never communicates with me, this person doesn't do anything to support my goals and my dreams and my aspirations, and really it's a transactional relationship. In any walk of life, that's not going to be the right type of relationship, because it's not mutual, right? So I always say there's relationships should be 50-50, especially in this world, because minor league baseball players specifically, Major League Baseball players, the opportunities are there for them. Being an agent and a representation for them is pretty easy, to be honest with you, because the opportunities are provided by their ability and their talent and the stage that they're given by being a Major League Baseball player. Or an agent, in my opinion, at least in baseball, is only worth his weight in salt if he's doing something for you development-wise, communicating with you, offering some type of support in the minor leagues. Other than that, if you're in a transactional relationship and there's only a communication, some type of communication, when you're either getting equipment from them or paying a fee in the minor leagues, that's not what this is about. So very often that's what an agent is aligned with, money.
Yeah.
And in my case, and in our case, at least what we're trying to do, and I don't know if it's if we're the only people doing it, but our approach to it is going to be development and people. And no two players are alike, meaning just like no two hitters are the same, and no two pitchers or anything you apply to anything else are the same. So we try to take it may sound cliche to take that personal approach, but at the same time it's focused on their development. And in minor league baseball, if you can find your purpose, your plan, and who you are as a player, I think that does lead to some on the field success, which means to more opportunities for everybody.
That's great, man. Listen, you gotta listen. I love the fact that you said a lot of agents are in a transactional relationship, whereas what you guys are trying to do is more so revolving around people and development, which is in my opinion transformational. So
Sure.
I love it, man. At what point, let's be specific here,
Sure.
when does an athlete really need to start looking for an agent? Is it when they have that big signing bonus? Is it getting ready for free agency, Rule 5? Like, what is it?
Yeah.
When?
That's a good question, because I've been asked that a lot. The landscape is changing a lot. So in my case, our competition is similar to college recruiting, whereas there's some guys committing to advisors as early as their sophomore year in high school. So there's that struggle to go in too early before, again, in my case, without enough information, because I think anybody who's listening to this, if you're involved in baseball, will tell you knowing you're a Major League Baseball player as a sophomore in high school is probably not true. You usually find out a lot later in the game, or at least develop a lot later than that. So those are tough decisions to make. So in my world, when I would say a guy needs an advisor is when he comes to terms that he's going to play. He has first of all the thought and the true belief that he's going to play in the major leagues. For some guys that may be as a sophomore, but that would take me back to where I started with getting multiple opinions on that and being open to and exposing yourself to a lot of things where you start learning and understanding the business piece of it and the development piece and how good you actually have to be. You don't go to a major league game anymore as a fan or watch a major league game as a fan. You watch it for the professionalism, for the nuances of the game, to one day be in that locker room and not be starstruck by Adrian Beltre.
You're talking about the player himself.
The player himself.
So I'm not, as a player, I'm not just watching the game just to watch it.
Right.
I'm watching it to see, hey, man, what do I have to do, or what do I need to stop doing to get there?
Right. I mean, if I'm an infielder, you should be watching games on the nightly and at least every other day if you can, because those are reps. And mental reps are just as important as physical reps, especially the landscape now, wants players to play every day, all year round. And if you can't take advantage of those mental reps or those little things, even if you're just going to your own practice and learning from another player, those are ways of enhancing your development on the daily that a lot of guys don't do. So for me, if I talk to a guy about what he's doing, he usually has a good sense of that. So, I guess to answer your primary question of when does a guy need one, when he firmly believes with some information that he's going to have a chance to play in the major leagues. Anything short of that, I would say that would be uninformed decision, just because there is a lot of transactions that go on with your representation and not financially, right? So on our end, there's a lot of investment into that player, whether it be equipment, travel, just supporting them in general, their development in the off season, whatever it may be. That investment can only really be made if there's that belief, or else we're really all putting in time and money and
that belief that this kid's going to make it into the big leagues, and he has to believe it.
I mean, it has to be like seen, spoken, lived, in all senses. Because I mean, just as well as I do, seeing it firsthand, that this is much more than talent.
Yeah, but let me ask you this, Dennis. Let me ask you this, man. Because, man, all these guys think they're going to play in the big leagues, right? Everybody's going to make it.
Yeah.
What's your goal? Play in the big leagues. Go to the show. Make it big. Every last one of them is going to tell you that. So at what point do you, as an agent, as a representative, say, you know what? You don't need a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? And you have to be blunt. You have to be truthful. You have to be straight up, because these are investments. So give us an insider's look.
Right.
Tell us what that's like from an agent, a representative's point of view, as far as what you look for when you know or you feel that this guy is ready.
Communication. If I can talk to a player and get their insight to their own game, to where they would like to be, so you said everybody would say they want to play in the major leagues. Well, what does that look like along the way? Not to the detail, but internally, right? That there is that internal selfish piece that if I do what I do, the purpose of me being here, if I'm a relief pitcher, I throw sliders and fastballs and I get right-handers out, that you better do that when you come to the yard. And you better understand what that means. You better understand what the maintenance involved to that means, the durability piece. You throw more than anybody, because you throw daily. And that would be your role, right? Your contribution to this company and how to be valuable. You should start to understand that the second you get to pro baseball. And that's a big part of what my communication is with our clients. And really any player that plays professional baseball, if I can offer anything, because I don't think these are any type of secret. I think it comes down, the toughest part is either getting the information and hearing that type of feedback, or an execution.
Excellent, man. Excellent. And once again, we're here with Dennis Wyrick of Rosenhaus Sports. He's the director of baseball operations. Real good interview today. Hey man, this is live, man. We're putting the agent on the hot seat right now. We're putting him on the hot seat, man.
I'm ready.
What are some things that current athletes right now would say, man, I never knew this about sports agency, but I know it now. So what I want to do is I want to give our athletes now a jump. I want to give them a head start. And I want you to tell us what are 2 to 3 things that these guys better know now, or they're going to find out the hard way later, in terms of representation, in terms of working with an agent.
That's a great question. It's a tough question. I would say one of the things that most players and in the business don't understand is that no two agents are created equal. And what I mean by that is it's going to come down to the person that you communicate with daily or regularly, who's involved in your career, more so than any umbrella you sign up to be a part of, because the work necessary to help advance your career is all encompassing, right? So it's from the top to all the way to the bottom. If you're going to have somebody who's going to represent you in the draft, you should have somebody who's able to touch and reach out to a front office, if not all 30 of them, to make sure that you don't just get drafted.
All 3 of who?
And being, so the draft piece of it, there's a development piece, the minor league piece of it, and then there's the front office piece. So in your case, John Daniels and his staff. So, making sure you touch, or that person touches all levels.
So this agent, because I want to be very specific, with, so we're being specific. So you're telling me that one thing that athletes need to know right now, if they're going to select an agent, is that your agent better be able to have communication with all 30 clubs, and be able to talk to and have relationships with not only the front office, the development side, and what other side?
The draft.
The draft side.
Right.
That person needs to have those relationships in tow to be able to negotiate and move mountains on your behalf.
Right. Because if you don't understand the partnership there, right, it's an employee-employer relationship. So if you're not getting the information necessary to help you go to work and do your job exceptionally well, which is what's asked, you're really just walking in the dark, right? So there's pieces of it where everybody has their specialties, right? There's very few, in my opinion, there's only a handful that do it on that level from top to bottom, that can fully service. There's plenty of companies out there doing great jobs for their players. It just goes beyond any one piece, if that makes sense, because some players are in it to only get drafted as well as they hope, right? And then they never really think beyond that. And those are the guys that they stop in high A, maybe double A if they're lucky, and you don't really get past that. Again, back to the relationship piece. If you've ever met somebody for the first time and you look to have a long-term relationship with them, whether it be personally or professionally, you're listening to things that have a little more depth to them rather than the today. And there's a plan to it. At least that's the case for me, and the things that I look for in any type of talent. You and I, you have a lot of strengths that I would love to have, right? But let's go learn.
Yeah.
Right? And add to that. From an agent standpoint, you're looking for a well-rounded person that can communicate with all people, all levels, again, as your representation to help elevate your career. And again, not because they represent any one other player or anybody in any walk of life, but more so what they're going to do for you specifically, and if they can have executed it and are currently executing it.
Okay, so what else?
Yeah.
What else do a lot of athletes need to know right now about sports agents that you're not going to learn until you get like knee deep in it? Like,
right.
What else can you tell these guys when they're selecting an agent?
Don't make it about marketing. I think that's a big misconception, and this is somebody sitting here telling you as with one of the largest marketing companies in our back pocket, representing some of the best athletes in the NFL and soon in Major League Baseball. But having experience with those guys, and even in the past working with a lot of the best players in the game, that should never be the reason you enter into a relationship for your baseball representation, right? Because first of all, if you do get a chance to play in the major leagues, the marketing piece of it becomes so obsolete and unnecessary. Because if you are in it for the major leagues, you should be doing well enough on the field to not need to supplement your income with doing a card appearance or a regional Pepsi commercial, right? Because what at the end of the day ends up paying and getting you those marketing opportunities is your performance on the field.
No doubt.
So anybody that starts, or enters into that relationship, because I see that as a big misconception. I'm gonna have a commercial. I'm gonna have an ad, or anything on social media is often overblown. Most importantly, is it the opportunity that gets you to the major leagues is the ones that you should be interested in. So never enter into that relationship with any type of representation based on marketing opportunities, because they're few and far between.
Yeah,
they're very few, and they're not as easily available as people may think, and often a lot of people are sold on that.
That's interesting, coming from an organization that, I mean, you guys represent who? Antonio Brown, Odell Beckham,
Gronkowski.
Who else?
LaShawn McCoy. Just recently, Joe Hayden was signed with the Steelers. We got plenty of Steelers. We have double the players in the NFL than any other agent. So, if you have a team, we usually have multiple players on that team, and hopefully the best players on that team. So, and in the NFL, it being the most popular sport in the country, there's a lot more of a platform there for those guys. And so what I'm referring to is, in comparison to minor league baseball players, choosing an agent based on their marketing opportunities would be misinformed.
Yeah.
All right.
No, that's interesting, man.
And again, just because your focus, any marketing opportunity is going to stem from your performance on the field.
Yeah.
So that's going to be irrelevant of any agent.
Yeah.
Right. So if you go out and you perform and you move fast and you get to the big leagues by 23, 22, or some guys are getting there even earlier, that will be when marketing. But you would have already had made the right decision on your representation, because they put in on your development,
no doubt,
to give you the opportunity to succeed at the major league level.
Don't put that cart before the horse.
Right.
That those opportunities come once that performance is in tow, and that performance does not even occur unless that development part is correct and it's lined up. So, man, I love it, man. So, as we close, once again, we're here with Dennis Wyrick of Rosenhaus Sports. He's a director of baseball operations, and man, it's been a good conversation just about agents and sports representation. And as we close, man, I got two more questions for you, man. Good. So I don't know how much experience that you have on the international side when you compare it to, the amateur and domestic side here in terms of baseball. But I want you to kind of cut through the fat, man, as it relates to, the differences, similarities between agents, buscones, financial advisors, family members, and things of the nature. I want you to kind of cut through the fat, man. They call him, man. They call him. I want you to.
Hopefully they keep calling.
I know, right? I know, right? So I want you to kind of cut through the fat as far as the differences, the similarities, and what to look for, and not even what to look for, because you've already answered that, but how to prioritize those relationships, especially as a young player, man. You want to please everybody. You want to make sure that grandma's taken care of, mom and dad are taken care of. How do you prioritize those relationships, and how do you go about informing the athlete and say, man, listen, man, like, this dude right here ain't working for you. Listen, man, mom is like, we love mom, but this is not going to be the best long term. Right. How do you navigate through all that, man?
It's tough. I mean, I've often said that, back to those three stages of draft, minor league, major leagues, and if the player's out of high school, you usually got to get hired by the player and their parent, right? If you're in minor league baseball, sometimes it's the player and the girlfriend. They get to the big leagues, it becomes player and wife. So there's a lot of things pulling at these players, and I'll just speak for myself. I always put myself in the vice president role, right, where you don't make the final decisions as an agent. You definitely don't. You offer the information as objectively as possible, and you only speak on making any type of decision when you're asked. Because other than that, you're really trying to direct a guy into situations that you don't have to answer to, right? So I would hope and expect that same thing for that player being their relationship with anybody else in their life. So if that becomes mom and dad or a Buscone or anybody, a coach, with all due respect, it has to be a respectful thank you, and I'm going to take that information. I'm going to go make an informed decision on my own, because again, nobody else is going to go out there and hit that 95 away, right? Nobody's going to throw that fastball at that big spot. You are.
So how do you frame it though? That's a good answer, D.
Yeah,
that's a good answer. But how do you? What is a professional way to go about telling, mom and dad or grandma, hey, I love you, but this is what has to happen? How do you frame that?
I'm speaking to the player now. As a player, you have to know what your role is in any given situation. So if you haven't earned that type of, or haven't had that type of communication with that person, usually that means they don't know enough about your goals to speak on it, right? So if they're speaking from an uninformed situation, that right there is the platform for me to say thank you. Listen, you listen, you're respectful, especially a family member.
Yes.
Right? Who has been there from day one. But we all graduate to it's big boy time.
Hey, I know. It sounds good.
Right?
I know the answers sound good, but I want you to give me how do you say it? Hey, grandma. Okay. I need $1,500. I need $1,500 right now because my car broke down and I need to pay rent. Right. I need $1,500 right now.
I'm sorry, first of all, but I don't have access to that type of money. Do you understand that I only make $1,100 a month, and after taxes, it's about $600-700?
But I know you got that signing bonus. I need $1,500. Come on now.
And you're right, but that money is not for me to touch right now. That's not my money. That's my future's money.
But I raised you. Times are really tough right now, and no one else has the money. I need $1,500.
How about this? We figure out a way to get you what you need, and put you on a plan to set you up so we don't get back in this situation. But that lump sum that you need right now, I'm sorry, but I'm not the person for it. Because if you know anything about minor league baseball, even major league, if I'm a major league baseball player, you're opening a can of worms that you can never close if you start that. So,
well, can I get 800?
I wish I could, but right now that's still more than I make a month. So I would love to help you. If there was ever a time down the road when I could help you, maybe I could. But
they're about to turn. They're about to turn the lights off, though. They're about to turn the lights off.
And you know what? They're about to turn the lights off here too. So I mean, I'm living in a place. I was called recently by a player. They're going to get locked out. Their apartment. And of course, we want to bend over backwards and help that player, and I'm sure they have family. But these are real life struggles of a minor league baseball player.
Yeah,
the big league struggles are not the same, right? We all know that. So when I talk about a struggle, I'll usually refer to a minor league baseball player,
no doubt,
in terms of the guys that need it. But literally, guys have called me and said they're about to turn off the lights. First of all, we can't, like, by rule. Second of all, that's not a decision.
You can't what?
As an agent, we can't support them to that extent where we can't pay to keep their light bill on. So I get those calls, right? So you got to help. You got not only to say a no. Most of the time, you're trying to find another solution for them.
Okay, well, some people might listen to what you just said and say, "Man, you crazy."
Yeah.
Right. I don't know Reggie Bush personally. Right. But we all know what happened with the Heisman Trophy and him buying things for the family. Like explain that.
Right.
Explain that.
There's no explanation. I mean, family is the most important thing.
No. I'm talking about an agent from the agent's point of view. Because we all know agents that bankroll players and say, man, when you make it, we getting that money back. Right. We're getting it back. You know what I'm saying? So if you have a high priority player, who's about to make it, and he can't pay his light bill, I mean, y'all ain't gonna find the funds to make it happen.
No, No, I mean, from are you talking about
Yeah,
us as an agent?
yeah.
No, just because those are life things. We get involved in your life. We become a part of your life.
Oh, come on, man.
There is no way. It goes back to the rules, right? I mean, there is rules there for a reason. And if you choose to break, I'm in this position now.
But y'all got all kinds of money.
Right.
You guys got resources.
We do.
And this player's about to get his lights turned off, and you can't help him?
No, because again, if a player's, and I don't come from much, okay? So asking for things, it depends on where you come from and your background. Not coming from much made me not ask for much, right? Made me work for it. Some people don't come from much and they ask, and sometimes they get, sometimes they don't. But that's usually, those two people come from the same place, but they're not the same type of person, right? So somebody who gets in that situation is usually somebody who's going to get in it again, right? Those are life decisions a lot of times. Again, not having much makes you get real creative, in a lot of different ways, and being able to dig your way out of those things, whether that's minor league baseball, not coming from much, being coming from another country, getting out of those things, the right way is how you learn how to get ahead. Because once you come out of those, and you are given the level playing platform, then you're ahead.
You gotta drop the mic right there. I think that's what you just said is just powerful. I mean, I try to put you on a hot seat. You didn't budge, but I mean, if that is true to form, man, that's very integrous, and I respect that. And what you said about, when you don't come from much and you're able to succeed and come out of that, now you're ahead. And I think that in this culture of this microwave culture of, man, I want it now, I want it all right now, press play, plug and play, instant gratification. I just think that what you said just resonates. It resonates because those are things that are lasting. Those are things that are enduring. And I think, in my opinion, those are things that a lot of people don't want to sign up for because they are tough.
Right. That's the marketing piece, right? Wanting to put in the cart before the horse, being focused on any one piece rather than the whole picture. This is a story. This is not just an episode, right? So there's much more to this than most people understand it, myself included. I'm not the oldest guy, I'm not the youngest guy, and I got plenty to learn myself. And thinking every day that's the goal. I've started to tell myself, if you're gonna take a step, make it be in the right direction, right? Because any other direction or getting distracted by going this way or that way, right or left, is really only slowing me down, right? So I may stop and redirect, but it's going to be calculated and it's going to be thought through. It's not going to be with a shortcut because the map doesn't have the shortcut on there, right? So usually that's not the smartest decision either. So for me, it just comes back to learning who you are as a person, as a player, and being committed to it, including when you get a piece of information, knowing what's not suited for you, having your representation not just because they're there or it's cool to say you have a certain agent. Find the right one. Not every there's no two opportunities that are created equal in my world, because no two people are.
That's awesome, man. I like what you said about the shortcut. The shortcut is not on the map.
Right.
The map doesn't show you the shortcut. It shows you point A, point B, shows you east, west, north, south, but it does not show you the shortcut. I love it, man.
Yeah.
In closing, this is the last question for you, Dennis, and I appreciate you taking the time, man, today. It's been very informative. I've learned some things today, and I can't wait to get back and listen to this. But in closing, I just want to know, man, why do you do what you do? Because a lot of agents, man, it's money, 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 baby. You know what I'm saying? We actually just did a podcast not too long ago called, Pay and Performance. And money's a big part of the athletes' development and their careers and them navigating. And they're blowing us up today, Dennis. They're blowing us up today, man. Come on, man.
I need your role in that.
We're here in the office, man, putting down this interview, getting all this information, and they over here trying to bang the doors down. in closing, I want to know, why do you do what you do? Why?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Okay.
Simple question.
You would think it was simple, right? Because part of me still wishes and thinks that my ability in itself, my talent, should have made it to the major leagues on my own right? So when I set out to be an agent, I had to think the same thing, because it was either going to be a job or going to be a career. And it became a career very quickly because I started taking a vested interest in either what I had learned through experience and being a product of that, or some of the things that I didn't know, and wanting to offer that to players. Because talent, in my opinion of myself, and I'll speak on that alone, was plenty good enough. I think most players will tell you that if they look back on their career or are in it right now, I'm good enough, right? Are you doing? If you look yourself in the mirror, though, are you doing the things necessary to even be considered as one of the best 750 players in the world? Sleeping right, eating right, making those decisions where it's not a right now, right? It's not a tonight during spring training. It's a on the off day.
Yeah.
Those are big league decisions. I played with a lot of big leaguers before they were big leaguers, whether it be in high school, college, or minor league baseball, and it went unnoticed until that opportunity was taken away from me. Because ability, we were on the same stage, we were on the same platform. When it came to consistency, they had that. When it came to being able to communicate their plan, they had that. When that selfish piece that I like to look for, they had that. It wasn't a please everybody attitude. Yeah. It was a let me focus on me. So
who are three examples of people that you played with that did it right?
Dustin Pedroia, Ian Kinsler, Andre Ethier. Those three guys were making decisions in college different than most. They would take you to the party, be at the party, not drink, and drive you home, right? And we all had plenty of fun, don't get me wrong, but they had such a good understanding of when and making those decisions along the way, that again, if you're going to take steps, if you're going to spend time in college, make the most of that time, right? You can be there to get your education, you can be there to get better at baseball, you can be there to be social, but one of them's got to give, right? At least, if not two. So you have to make those decisions on the daily, and same goes for minor league baseball. I'm in a slump, let me go downstairs to the lobby or wherever you're at and have fun tonight. Well, that slump might be a little bit longer, right? Or just being in your own head and talking that misery loves company saying, where it's just going to permeate into something bigger and worse, and then you start believing it, and usually it's not true, right? So those thoughts and those things are...
You're getting into my domain now. I love it, but it's true, man. It's true.
I say cliches are true for a reason, right? Because they're not true until you live them.
No doubt, man.
And that takes a little experience. So, a young guy, I was just talking to a young guy on the way here, and he's asking me questions about his path, and both paths were equally, they offered the same opportunity. The only difference was he was choosing one to skip a level, when in actuality they were going to end up at the same spot at the same time, and he knew that. So, but he was looking at them differently, right? So choosing high school or choosing to sign out of high school or college, if you end up in the same spot at the end, those previous 3 years, whether it's in minor league baseball or in college, that's the time that matters the most.
No doubt.
What did you do then?
Yeah.
Because then when you get to pro baseball, you could either, accelerate, or you could be a guy who gets to the big leagues. If you sign in high school, those 3 years are critical. Because then you get out of extended, you can get to low A ball at 20, hopefully 19, then you put yourself in a category to earn more options and more opportunity. But if you just go this route of, I sign out of high school, so it's going to take me 2 years and extend it. It's going to tell, and then I'll go to short season, and then I'll be in low A at 21. But you sign out of high school for what reason? Because that's where they go to when you sign out of college. And most importantly, are you the player you wanted to be after those 3 years? That should have been the decision.
Yeah.
Right? So those are usually things that players don't think about, and as a person who didn't, that's what I try to offer to players from beginning to end.
That's great, man. That's great. One word. What is one word that describes what an athlete needs to have and must have in this cutthroat world of professional sports? One word.
I'm bouncing between 3 right now.
One, man. You get one as we close.
I gotta go with plan. If you don't know where you're going, and I mean the nuts and bolts, be a minor league baseball player. If you're in the minor leagues, you should probably show up early for camp and see what the big leaguers are doing when they get here, and how much of it, and how early, and how long, to just know, to know, can you do that? Because there's aspirations, and there's dreams, and then there's reality. You know, if you set out to do something, the only reason you're going to fall short is going to come the execution, and that means if you didn't execute the plan, probably wasn't right. So,
great, man.
You know, I'd say having that plan and having it be realistic and informed, and find those people around you, whether it's internally, in your family, in your organization, in your representation, or your relationships, that are truly there supporting you. Because if you're a professional baseball player, you do a lot of taking, a lot of asking, because you aren't in a position to do. You don't you either don't have the resources, or you don't have the time, or whatever it may be. So while you're a professional baseball player, there's a lot of selfishness, and people that are going to need to support that plan, or else they're just going to deter from it and slow you down.
Wow.
So it's got to be a plan.
That's great, man. Dennis, thank you, man. Once again, man, Dennis Wyrick, man, Rosenhaus Sports. He's the president of baseball operations. Really good knowledge, really good perspective from what an agent sees, what a representative sees, as they navigate and help players get to their ultimate destination. I really appreciate you taking the time, man.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. This was a big opportunity for me to get some of those things out of my head and get some truth out there in terms of what I think. So
That's awesome, man. Thank you again, brother.